Deloitte did a Future of Cyber 2023 survey report and all, and in that, privacy is one of the key factors that has been mentioned. So how do you see that playing out?
So one part which I believe is the artificial intelligence, and every business is, and your survey talks about 80% of the CEOs that you interview talk about AI will be very key priority for them, right? AI works on a large set of data, right? And when we talk about large set of data, most of the time the data would be a personal data actually. So trying to understand the data, and we are trying to find the data, trying to digitize the records and trying to make use of data basically. And that we are doing largely to one part is definitely providing better services, other part is improving our productivity. Nowadays banks claim that we can approve loan in 5 minutes time basically. That is possible because they can process tons of data about you, and then they can risk profile you.
Even pre-approved in some cases.
Pre-approved in some cases as well, because they know a lot about you and your transaction that you are recently done and in the history that you have done basically. So when that is happening, basically these AI algorithms would be now tested to the expectation of privacy which are getting set, and these expectations are very specific, granular, very nuanced level expectation, and I will ask this ethical moral question of privacy, and each of these algorithms that is being written basically nowadays, even some regulation I looked at, they are even talking about making somebody, it's not only user of the AI algorithm, it's also making somebody responsible, and who is the somebody is like somebody who is writing the AI algorithm responsible for the expectation of the privacy, and that's what the things are changing basically. So it's not only collection of data, it's also what you do with the data.
How do you, so if no data is fed or the richness of data is the backbone of an AI and privacy is a concern, then aren't they conflicting statements to that effect if you look at it?
Ashish, they are not, again, and I'll again relate answer to it. It is often seen that privacy is looked as a hindrance. It is not, right? If you heard carefully what Vinayak was saying, see, when you are putting the algorithms, you have to ensure that algorithm takes care of privacy. Adapting AI cannot be an excuse for letting privacy be compromised. That's as simple as that. Privacy has to be inherent. It has to be the code. It has to be by design. AI can be used for multiple purposes, as Vinayak said, but just because AI is helping to digitize faster, and we are letting the privacy being compromised is not an answer to it, right? So I'll not make many complex answers to it. I'll just make it simple. Because of AI adaptation, privacy should not be compromised, and it has to be inherent the way we are adapting at it. In fact, there have been instances where we talk about responsible AI, which largely means that the biases have to be kept away. I won't go in details, but we should not let AI give values or answers which are biased. And those biases could be based upon the personal data, the ethnicity of an individual, the complexity of an individual, the gender, I mean, there could be so many factors. So we should not use or let AI do things on their own and compromise privacy. And it has to have a very good combination of it. And in the future, I'm sure the right balance will be continued to be maintained.
What are your views on MSMEs adopting privacy or the implication for MSMEs and even SMBs actually?
To me, the fundamentals are must. Where I have seen problem in my professional career is this, that expectation are to have the most sophisticated data programs, to have the most sophisticated privacy technologies, but the basics are missing. What data I have? Why do I have data? Who is using that data? These are the very basic things that enterprise would need to have irrespective of a privacy regulation. You can get best of the privacy technologies or the programs in place, but if your fundamentals are missing, it's going to be a problem. So the question that we are asking is to how the MSMEs may adapt with this new wave of privacy coming in.
Because they don't have maybe the wherewithal and the resources at the beginning.
Exactly, and that's where the solution lies. That don't wait for privacy bill to come. Ensure that the fundamentals are taken care of, your data constructs are taken care of. Do you understand the data flows? Where is the data residing? And there is often a principle which we refer to as principle of minimization. To me, the answer is in fundamentals. Get the data layer as a fundamental correct, and then of course the journey can continue. But very keen to see.
Just to add to what Manish said, so regulators are mindful about the obligations that are put in the name of the privacy. For example, our draft bill talks about there is a concept of significant data fiduciary basically. So the obligation, if you are significant data fiduciary, means you are collecting tons of data, you are a bigger organization, basically, there's some other criteria has been laid down for that, then the obligation will be quite significant on you. Whereas some obligations, the MSMEs have been not being asked to comply with, basically. So they have been exempted to comply with some of these stringent obligations of data privacy. So that's one part from the regulatory side, how the regulations have been looking at depending on the size of the business. But then other side is how do you make this consciousness of a data and data privacy to the larger section of economy. When you talk about digital economy, so all small and medium scale organization is a target of digitization, right? India's economy, you talk about digital inclusion, and inclusion also involves MSME part as well, and we have been government of India is taking significant effort in terms of digitizing most of those process. Making entire ecosystem responsible for the privacy would automatically make MSME responsible for it, because they will be leveraging those platforms as well. But at the same time, what Manish talked about, individual or a company, a small company, big company or mid-sized company, they need to be bringing the data consciousness and the consciousness about the rights that everyone enjoys as a data privacy right while devising any plan around data.
Now we've seen this landscape play out. Do you see any major technological maybe breakthroughs or any innovations in this area that you would like to maybe,
because
some of the key highlights?
Challenge of privacy is different than a typical security challenges we are looking at. Security, the enemy is outside of the organization. Here you are yourself are making those plans basically, but when you are making those plans, there are millions data that you may be processing, and million different ways that it can happen. The volume and velocity of the ideas that you are thinking and deploying, developing and deploying are growing quite significantly. In that case, if you try to do this in manual way, it will not suffice, because each transaction that you do and which has personal information has to be satisfying the expectation of privacy basically. So there are various different technologies. So cryptography is certainly one, because anonymization that Manish talked about, which cryptography is lending quite a good support for that. The compute also can be a secure compute. Most of the expectation of privacy are like the user engagement basically. So there are a lot of technologies are coming to help you to manage user expectation privacy well. There are compliance, you need to comply with, so there is an enterprise level compliance ecosystem you can build together. And there is a set of privacy enabling technology which are evolving to take care of the specific requirement of privacy. And I'm happy to note that almost 7 to 8 Indian startups are now solving the privacy problem, and they are getting quite a good traction in the market as of now.
Wonderful. Manish, would you like to add like a flavor to some of the highlights, like, because privacy as a word doesn't sound very technical, and it's more of theoretical or compliance, and also are there any breakthroughs that you think, or some highlights of the trends that are playing out in the market right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say theoretical, compliance and practical. I would just like to add that to the statement that you made. The way I look at privacy as a domain, Ashish, is that it's almost where information security was in 2000, right? And we know where information security or cyber security has evolved today, be it on the advancements, be it on the roles. So, you know, I still recall the days when we were talking about information security 2000 as a triad of CIA. Just try to compare that privacy is at that niche. It has to cover up the ground. For sure, there will be developments, cryptography, anonymization, or something. All the questions that you asked, for example, voice of customer, we spoke about the challenges. That is where technology is going to play the role. We spoke about how the AI can do something which is not responsible. Responsible AI is going to get more evolution, right? So I can't really predict the future, but I'm very, very sure that the way we have seen cyber as a domain or information security as a domain, growing over the last 2 decades, that is the path that privacy has to go. It is a very initial stage of its own infant stages, and it has to evolve at a very, very strong manner.
It's fair to say it's still a large extent greenfield subject as of now in terms of technology, services, the profession, the implementation you do. But yes, last 3-4 years, people have been learning all of these things, and some of them are taking those initial strides.
Okay, so it was industry where I think the initial awareness happened, then it moved to individuals now, which is where, and we had a good debate on that. And the third point is now on the innovation side. So I think some of these challenges, innovation or technology will actually solve for all of us, right?
And thank you for completing the triad of individual, industry, and innovation.
Thank you very much. It was lovely having you.